Okay, we're going to continue on in our Father's Word. This is Leviticus 3, verse 6. If his offering as a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord is of the flock, whether male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb as his offering, then he shall offer it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the offering, and kill it before the tabernacle of meeting. And Aaron's son shall sprinkle its blood all around on the altar. Then he shall offer from the sacrifice of the peace offering, as an offering made by fire to the Lord, its fat, and the whole fat tail, which he shall remove close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entails, and all the fat that is on the entails, and the two kidneys and the fat that is on the flanks, and the fatty lobe attached to the liver above the kidneys, he shall remove. Because God loves the smell of burning fat. And the priest shall burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire to the Lord. And if his offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before the Lord. He shall lay his hand on his head and kill it before the tabernacle. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle its blood all around the altar. Then he shall offer from his offering as an offering made by fire to the Lord the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the two kidneys and the fat that is on them by the flank, and the fatty lobe attached to the liver above the kidneys. He shall remove. And the priest shall burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire, for a sweet aroma. All the fat is the Lord's. This shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations. In all your dwellings, you shall eat neither fat nor blood. Because God loves the smell of burning fat. And that fat, it'll go to the inside of your blood system. They use cholesterol medicine to get the fat out of your blood system, off your vein walls. It collects on the walls of your veins and your arteries, called plaque. And you get cholesterol medication to remove the plaque. But your blood pressure will go up because it's harder for your heart to pump the blood through your veins and your arteries because you got plaque in your system. Fat, hog fat's the worst. Smoking tobacco cigarettes and eating chicken with the skin on it. That's what puts the plaque inside your blood system. Now this is Leviticus 4. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a person sins unintentionally against any of the commandments of the Lord in anything which ought not be done, and does any of them, if the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, then let him offer to the Lord for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bull without blemish, as a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the door of the tabernacle of meeting before the Lord, lay his hand on the bull's head, and kill the bull before the Lord. Then the anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it to the tabernacle of meeting. When I have a cow killed and I put the meat in the freezer, it should last a year or more. But when I have the cow killed, they drain the blood for 21 days. That's called kosher. You got to drain all the blood out of it and cut as much fat off the meat whenever you're doing the butchering. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the meeting. And he shall pour the remaining blood of the bull at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is the door of the tabernacle of the meeting. And he shall take it from it all the fat of the bull as a sin offering, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat which is on the entrails. The 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them by the flanks, and the fatty lobe attached to the liver above the kidneys, he shall remove, as it was taken from the bull of the sacrifice of the peace offering. And the priest shall burn them on the altar of the burnt offering. But the bull's hide and all its flesh, with its head and its legs, its entrails and its offal, the whole bull he shall carry outside the camp to a clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out, it shall be burned. Now if the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done something against any of the commandments of the Lord, and anything which should not be done, and are guilty, when the sin which they have committed becomes known, excuse me, then the assembly shall offer a young bull for the sin, and bring it before the tabernacle of the meeting. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord. And the bull shall be killed before the Lord. The anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tabernacle of meeting. Then the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. And he shall put some of the blood of the horns on the altar, which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the meeting. He shall pour the remaining blood at the base of the altar of burnt offerings, which is at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. He shall take all the fat from it and burn it on the altar. And he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as a sin offering. Thus he shall do with it. So the priest shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. Then he shall carry the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. When the ruler has sinned and done something unintentionally against any of the commandments of the Lord, his God, in anything which should not be done, or is guilty, or if his sins which he has committed comes to his knowledge, he shall bring as his offering a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the goat and kill it at the place where they burnt the offerings before the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offerings, and pour its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offerings. And he shall burn all its fat on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of the peace offering. So the priest shall make atonement for his concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. If any one of the common people sins unintentionally by doing something against any of the commandments of the Lord in anything which ought not to be done, and is guilty, or if his sin which he has committed comes to